Hello, everybody, and welcome to Paranormal Nation Radio. Not so normal. How's Denise doing tonight?
Issa's fine and doing good. Just working through this really short week.
Yeah,
So
it is going to be a short week, but it's going
so
to be a long coming weekend.
I hope so. I hope I get to go.
I do too.
I'm I'm concerned about a couple things. The heat, but the thing is we're going to be out there mostly at night, so it shouldn't
Yeah,
be that hot. So, and
yeah,
there is areas where there's air conditioning at Ashmore.
yep,
So if I need to walk away, I can.
right,
And if I need to lay down, there's places where I can lay down. And so there's that. And we're going to bring lots of water anyway. We
right,
always make, well, you know that. We always bring water everywhere.
yeah,
So we'll be fine there. It's just a matter of, can I be that far away from my heart doctor right now?
right.
So I'm a little bit concerned about that, but I'm still trying to figure out the medication piece. And so it's been a weird week, to say the least. Um, also had the anniversary of my dad's murder on the 3rd.
Oh,
Um,
really?
and yep.
Okay.
So needless to say, that's a major anniversary of um, of a paranormal happening in my life.
Yep.
So I got to talk. I was actually on Linda Carino's YouTube show. It's it's not an orb, it's dust, is what the show was called. And so she asked me to be on, and it happened to be that same day. So
Mm-hmm.
made it kind of interesting. And of course, we also had the anniversary of Rick Rose's passing,
Yes,
and
yes.
so it
I've
just makes.
seen a lot of that on Facebook.
Yeah, I talked to his mom some yesterday,
Oh, good.
and explained to her how I've been dealing with it for these 47 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's difficult at best to deal with the loss of a parent. It's even worse when you're dealing with the loss of a child. So I don't know what she's going through on that, but I understand the holiday part.
Right. Hi, Dave. Welcome to the show.
So
Yes.
and Rex is having technical difficulties.
Oh, your guest Bill?
I don't know if my guest bailed or not. So hopefully I'll send him a message
503.
and see what's going on with my guest.
Probably got mixed
So-
Yeah.
Eastern and Central Time.
Probably Ohio is one of those weird
Hi,
places
Christine.
people get weird with that. So, but yeah, I'm figuring stuff out. That's where I am. And
I know. I got the same things going around here. I got to keep an eye on Pastor Gary and everything. Uh, I'll be driving his truck up there, me and him, because he can't drive anywhere right at the moment.
oh, is okay. Well,
Well,
I'll see about
because
that later.
that the other accident going to the city where he blacked out and hit a guardrail.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Did his blood pressure get too low, or his blood
They-
sugar get too low?
When was
They
this?
don't know. They don't know.
Well, tell
They
that
rushed him to the hospital, and
his
he
wife
was
needs to
down
get back
there
on the
for-
job of
he
taking
was
care
down
of
there
him.
When
for
was
3
this?
days. He was down there right before Memorial Weekend. Remember
Oh, okay.
when he put that in? I'll be out of the hospital on Memorial Day.
Yeah, he says
stuff.
in the hospital, he didn't say why.
Yeah.
Yeah, he blacked out,
Wow.
so he can't drive for 6 months.
Right.
That's how. So,
Hey.
do they think he had a seizure?
They're not for sure. They've run tests, and he's going through a lot of tests and everything at the doctor
Well,
there in
we
Hamilton.
we need to tell his wife she needs to get back to watching over him while she's a spirit.
I know,
I mean, she saved him.
but that poor little new Tacomas went through living hell.
Yeah.
Somebody runs into the back end of it while he's talking on a cell phone on the shoulder,
Right.
and now he tore the whole front end up on it when he hit the guardrail.
I knew he got rear-ended, but
Yeah, so we got to bring the big red Toyota.
no.
oh, red.
Yeah, Oh,
Yeah.
Red keeps going.
I know that thing looks new.
Well,
It's
you know
in
what?
great shape.
We had this car once that when we stopped driving it, it fell apart
Literally in
in
the
the
driveway.
driveway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as soon as I started driving
It
my Maxima,
sat there, I don't know, a couple weeks. I went out to start it, and I'm like smelling all kinds of gas. The fuel pump went out, sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
it was an Oldsmobile.
So I think I went to the junkyard and got another fuel pump. And then, what else happened? I got it
Then the
started,
the
and
battery died, or the
yeah, the
alternator
battery
went
was
out.
no good.
But yeah, I mean, the car just basically
Carburetor
fell apart in the driveway, and
was out of whack.
yep,
Junkyard fuel pump.
Oh.
back when it was okay to do.
Chad put
Oh,
on
yeah.
here. I heard a good thing today. My friend's 14-year-old daughter was found safe, along with
Good.
her friend, after being taken by some guy they met on social media.
Damn.
Why are kids not smart enough to know
Wait, stay
they
off
don't
social
trust
media.
their parents, but they want to trust some other adult on social media?
Well, they know that. Oh, here goes my. I gotta take my. Let me get this off here. My virtual background, or my background, is crap again.
What background? Oh,
That one. It's green.
okie dokie.
Okay, what the hell? Oh, there we go. Let's
There you
go
go.
with
Fine.
this.
So yeah. So these kids are out there. They don't trust their parents. They don't trust the regular adults in their lives, but they're going to trust a random stranger that they think that they know from a couple conversations. Do you know I'm
Right.
skeptical of everybody who contacts me on Facebook? It's like, what do you want? Not, I don't say it like that. I mean, I get somebody who calls me, have you heard the good news? And I said, Biden was impeached. And they go, no, that's not the good news. Then what's the good news? Tell me what it is. That usually by then they're already going, okay, we're done.
And we got Rex down here,
I see that.
Yep.
so we'll bring him up.
And our other guy is on his way.
Oh, is he? Okay, great. We'll have a full house here
We
tonight.
had to remind him.
Yeah,
Oh,
there he is.
yeah, there he is, right there. So introduce our other guest.
So our other guest tonight is Chris Houston. He's been on here before. He's a wealth of knowledge, and I don't know if you've ever met Chris Houston, Rex. I can't hear you, Rex.
Hook the other mic up.
So
We'll bring Chris up.
yeah, Chris was actually supposed to come to the event we had in Marshalltown, but he couldn't because of his mom being sick, I think it was.
Right.
Is that right, Chris?
Oh, did we
Chris,
freeze?
can you hear us?
That's right.
Okay.
He's doing
This
something.
way then.
Okay. Well, we can kind of hear you. Go ahead, Rex. Talk, see if we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're still a little low, but
Give me a sec here.
that's
It's getting better.
yep, getting better.
Give me a sec.
Sorry.
Give me a sec. I'm going to try something else.
Holds.
That sounds good.
Is that good?
Yes, that's good.
All right.
So
I must have fixed it.
there you go. Oh well,
Oh,
we'll get Chris back. Something must not be right.
well, at
So,
least they caught that shooter up there in Highland Park.
Chicago.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's something else.
Yeah, that makes you wonder. I didn't think we'd hear anything about it because I just didn't think we would.
Well, being on the 4th of July in a parade, and he's on top of a building doing sniper shots. And the worst part about it, over there in Chicago, one of the radio stations dug in to the police reports and his social media. This kid should have been looked at by the police
Oh yeah.
over the last 2 years for what he was
Did you
posting.
see the little scumbag?
Yeah,
Oh my god.
and stuff. I mean, they want red law flags. Right there is something that should have already been taken care of.
Right. Yeah, without a law.
These social media places know what goes on. They try shutting our shows down and all this and that. but yet they won't go look for one of these kids that's doing all this crap.
Yep.
Exactly.
Another freaking bumbling idiots. That's what I call them.
Yeah.
That's what FBI stands for.
Sorry about that, guys. I had to reset up my audio. My computer wasn't working right.
Well, that's
okay.
good. Now we can hear you just
Perfect.
fine. So, Rex Nielsen, this is Chris Houston. I
Hi,
don't
Chris.
know if you guys have ever met.
I don't think we've met in person. I know who he is.
Well, that's good.
yeah.
Well, nice to meet you, Chris.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you too.
So, like I said, I invited Chris to be on here because he's a wealth of knowledge, and I thought, you know what, we had 2 weeks of really good, a little bit of a 1 week show where we had a really good conversation. The following week we had a really great conversation. So I thought that this would be a good time to revisit that again.
Mhm.
Right.
So,
I
so what have
agree.
you been up to, Chris?
Mostly right now I'm working on the back end. I helped with some editing with a couple of things, getting prepared for a couple of shows. Of course, I had a family member pass away recently, so I had to wrap up all that. And we got hit in Mount Gade with a tornado that I had to fix up my house on, so that was a lot of fun.
Well,
When was that?
About 2 weeks ago now. And believe it or
okay.
not, I was right out in the mix of it because I used to chase tornadoes for years up here.
Right.
So I knew
Yeah.
it was coming. I could smell it in the air. I put the kids and the wife downstairs and went straight out and started picking up branches. And stupid me nearly got hit by one that went about 4.5 inches into the ground. So I'm still suffering from a sprained elbow from that one. Fun times, though.
well,
Yeah.
somebody's got to go out there.
Yeah, well,
I know when
And
those are going to hit, too.
they don't have enough of them these days. We didn't get any notice out here that it was going to happen at all. It just snapped like that. At least if you had a half a dozen storm chasers out, you would have at least maybe got a 5-minute notice. And 5 minutes is better than anything when you're dealing with a tornado. Trust
That
me,
ain't no
because
lie.
it can total you.
Well, luckily you know what to look for.
Yeah,
I'd seem to know. I don't know. I know when one's going to hit. I'm always outside, too, while they're in the basement. I'm looking out.
Yeah, that's the big thing in Kansas. Tornado warnings mean
Not
everybody go out on the front porch and sit there and watch.
That's
sit there
right.
and wait because that's about all you can do.
No, I mean, everybody goes outside to look for it.
Well, it's
pretty
like up
lucky
here.
last
Most
4 or
of
5
them
years.
hit during the nighttime. Most
Yeah.
people are
Oh,
asleep.
those are bad.
I've been out several nights watching
Yeah.
chasing tornadoes.
Chris, where are you at in Ohio?
Mount Gade, Ohio, about 30 minutes out of Columbus, Ohio, in the northern. Well, technically we're in the center,
Yeah.
but I like to say north because I consider it north compared to a lot of the southern areas.
Well, we're supposedly in central. Let's see. East Central Kansas is where we
Yeah.
are.
Are you a Ohio
I don't know.
State fan?
That's not really.
No.
I don't follow much football out here. Ohio State and Michigan have been at it for almost ever since I can remember. I was
Yep.
a baby and they were at it, but I don't follow much football out here because it is such a big deal between Ohio State and Michigan. So I tend to stay out of it. I'm more of an IndyCar guy. So you get me in
There
front
you
of the
go.
Daytona, you get me in front of the Indianapolis 500, anything like that, and I'm game every year.
Okay, so I have a question for you. In the first ever NASCAR race, how
Indy.
many? No,
Indy 500.
doesn't matter. NASCAR race, Indy 500 race. But I'm just going to go with NASCAR. How many rookies were there in the first NASCAR race?
And the very first one,
Mhm.
most of them were rookies. I couldn't give you a total
All
number,
of
but
them.
I know most of them
All
were
of
rookies.
them.
Yeah, there was
Like I
one
said, all of
guy
them.
that
The answer is all. Okay.
there was one guy that helped build the cars that had test drove them. I don't think anybody else really knew what the heck they were doing.
Well, the bulk of them
Yeah,
were
Most of them were their family cars
Yeah,
that they
well,
towed up,
moonshine-
told everybody, get out, we're going racing.
yeah.
there-
When it
a lot
first
of them
started,
were
that's what it
moonshine
was.
runners.
Yeah.
Especially NASCAR. It was all basically just an extended version of of what we
Bootlegging.
used to do in our. We still do it up here at the fairgrounds. Demolition cars. You just
Right.
went out there and
right.
ran around in a circle and saw how many people left.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, they just
I mean,
it was moonshiners.
They
and
had to
were,
give the moonshiners something to do with their hot rods.
Yeah, one would go bragging about, hey, I did this to my car. It can do, go this fast, and the other one would brag about it. Then after a while, they're like, hey, let's race. And then all of them started, they all started getting together and racing. It's like greyhounds.
Yeah, the
Bunch of farmers had
official first.
greyhounds, and they said mine could outrun yours. And next thing you know, you got races.
The official first sponsored race, I think there were 2 that called themselves professionals, but that's only because they spent almost 6 years rebuilding an engine specifically for racing.
Yeah.
Right. But that still doesn't count because technically they were all rookies.
Yeah. Yeah. And those guys that rebuilt
rookies.
those engines hadn't even really done much with those engines. I think they test drove them maybe 3 or 4 times before they put them on the track and they blew up.
Yeah.
My grandmother was at at the Indianapolis 500 one year. Okay. This was back, there was a bad accident and the wheel came off of one of the cars and bounced into the stands.
Oh,
and
yeah.
actually
That
killed
was
people sitting right in front of
in
her.
the 90s sometime. I can't remember what the date
This
was.
was back in like the 40s.
40s? Yeah, well, it happened all the time in the 40s. Those early
Yeah.
cars,
Mhm.
I don't even know how they kept them on the road. Basically, those were tin cans with rocket fuel engines.
Yeah.
She
What
said
they
after
do.
that, she goes, I never ever wanted to watch a race in person again after that.
Yeah, I used to go. I went every year with my dad that we could, and we were in the middle of the pits. I'll tell you what, the pits are even more dangerous than sitting in that audience sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't remember how many times we were pulled into the center of a pit because a car flipped over and ran right into the damn grounds in the center.
I wonder how many racetracks are haunted.
I would guess a lot of them. I would guess. I'd
I
love
would
to
think
get into
so.
the Indianapolis sometime and do an investigation just for the
Oh,
heck of it.
yeah.
It just makes you wonder. I remember I told somebody this story a few weeks ago. We had the Petties were here in Kansas City. It was back when Sprint was sponsoring the sprint cars.
Yep.
And NASCAR was back then. And the Petties and was it Mike Wallace? Was he one of their drivers? It's when Adam Petty was still alive. Okay, so that tells you it's been a while. And they showed up at the campus, and I was in charge of prizes and stuff for the United Way. And Richard Petty comes walking over for stuff, and they told us, they were very specific, no autographs. Well, Kyle Petty signed. Oh, little Linda, it's been so long since we've seen you. My mom's name is Linda. Signs my shirt. His dad signs my shirt. The other driver signs my shirt. And everybody's going, I thought we weren't allowed to ask for autographs. I said, didn't ask. So I actually have a shirt signed by all of them in my closet. I can't wear it because I can't wash it.
I have a Ray Hall cap and a Ray Hall shirt that's the same way because my dad was friends with Ray Hall for years, and it just sits in a box because you can't do anything with anything like that. If you try to wash it or wear it, you just destroy the autograph.
Yeah, it's just a collector's item.
Right,
You
that's
just,
how I
you
felt
just
about
frame it.
Yeah, you can buy frames for shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought
Yeah,
about that a couple of
that,
times
yeah.
because it's sitting in a box, and I pulled it out the other day when I was cleaning this office to see what I was going to keep and not, and it's dusty as all get out. I would have loved to have thought about putting it in a frame before that because now I got to figure out how to clean the damn thing off.
You may be able to use lint roller, maybe.
Maybe, yeah, try to get it off.
Yeah.
But-
Sad thing is it's black, so when black collects dust, well, you guys know how it looks after that. You're like, oh my
Yeah.
god, this thing looks terrible.
Yeah.
Actually, the only people that would know that are those that wear the black T-shirts because they have to for their paranormal team.
Oh, now come on.
Hey, we wear purple I make him wear purple.
I know you do. Purple's your color.
We wear bright green, but that's because of NICAM. Bright green and yellow is everything that we wear, except for when I'm out in that little outfit back there.
So, well, part of the reason that I got the Petty's autographs was that my dad used to hang out at the tracks in Martinsville. So that's how he knew who I was. Even the last time he'd seen me I was 5 years old.
Uncle was Cale Yarborough.
No, my uncle was Buddy Baker.
Yeah, Buddy Baker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was my aunt. Well, by marriage, he was my aunt's brother. So the
okay.
uncle that just recently died, it was his brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Oh,
Joy.
And he left the house and stuff that he had to my aunt in Smith Mountain Lake in Virginia. And they got that sold before my
yeah. I
uncle.
met the Petties, Cale Yarborough, the Allisons, and all that at Sedalia State Fair back in the '60s when I was little.
Oh, wow.
That's when they brought. If they won on Sunday, that car was bought on Monday. You know, Chevy won, Chevys were bought on Monday. That was the old saying. Whatever car won in NASCAR on Sunday, they'd turn around and buy the identical car because it was a factory car, except for the engine was different, but the car body was the factory body.
Yeah, they did. They look like what you.
That's what NASCAR wanted and did until new technology came into play.
Well, and then
Yeah,
they all
until
had
they
to
got
have
that new-
basically the same car.
They got that new freaking board that was more interested in money than they were actually racing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's when I stopped losing interest. Is they
Yeah, I
started
did
changing
too.
the cars, and then they started changing the rules. They started limiting the speeds, and it just got ridiculous. I mean,
No,
come on,
that's
you
why
needed
I
those
would
cars in the
say-
first place to drive over 200
If
miles an
NASCAR
hour.
wants to make money, pick one of the big tracks and run what you brung.
They weren't
You
even
know, if
racing.
you got a car
anymore.
that'll
They
do
got
250 miles an hour and you got cojones big enough to drive it and keep it on that track, that's a race.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're dealing with the Indianapolis. Before they put those stipulations on there, I mean, those cars were going 280, 290 miles an hour around that track. You know, that's almost like flying a Tomcat plane, for crying out loud. If you're in that damn car and it's holding together, you're doing something right.
Yeah. I mean, it took a driver back then. Each car was different. Nowadays, just about anybody can climb into that car and run it at top speed the way they are designed.
I should have shut that phone off. Sorry, guys. I'm always busy with business. Somebody's always calling me.
Okay. I got email up over here, spreadsheets up over here, and you guys are on the laptop in the middle. So, I mean, I know. And, I forgot to tell you this too, Carl. When we were talking about crap, I also stepped on a bee last week. My foot swelled up, and it's still itching. And I got bit by a tick.
had a bad week
up here. And if Matt is listening, Matt Bennett, he'd be going, "Who cursed Denise?"
Yeah.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Well,
Matt Bennett.
Him or Jerome Minks. If Jerome Minks was still alive, the first thing he'd be going is, "You need to get exercised." No, I need to exercise. I don't need to be exercised. But that's what happens when you go outside. The bumblebee, or not the bumblebee, the yellow jacket I stepped on. Well, I guess I'm going to be haunted by him for a little while anyway. But you figure it's been almost a week now. It should stop itching.
Yeah, we've just been planning our new outings. I think I don't know where I'm going, but I got an investigation here in July with Shannon's group, and she's trying to get Keith Age up there with us. I don't know. I haven't seen Keith in years, so.
He seems like a nice guy.
Oh, he is. He's fun. I've only met him 2 or 3 times, but he's a nice guy and he's fun to be around. He's really funny and kind of easygoing, jokes around a lot. And then we've got the Paulding Jail in August.
Tell Shelly hi.
Yeah, I've got some unfinished business with her. I got a stack of papers down here that I did the research on the area that they talk about with the girl that they found the pieces of in the basement. I found out the farm that she was with the farm field that. Not really field, it was a forest that she was found in. So I'm trying to work out details between now and August with the owners of the farm so that we can go back there because that's where the real investigation begins. Yeah. And then me and several team members are going to walk the town where she was at to kind of get a feel for everything and discuss the story a little bit and hopefully record it and make a blast out of it to everybody so that they can see a little bit of a piece on it because it's an interesting story.
So you're going to go dig up her basement too?
If she'd let me, I would.
You think you'll find more bones in her basement?
There are a lot of areas. Have you ever been there?
No, I
there's
just
a lot
we're
of
on the same network together.
there's a lot of enclosed cells down there that I think if you actually got into the cells, you would find out more, and you'd find more stuff because there's something that it's just not right there. They say that they just closed off those cells, but you can tell that they were punishment cells in the first place. I mean,
Right.
they're thin, they're small, there's no light in them, they're just brick and dirt, and then they sealed them all off. But the fact that they sealed them all off and found her findings in one of them means that you're going to find something somewhere else. It's just a question on what really happened.
It could just be that they got sued by somebody for the small cells that they were using for what is it?
Torture.
Well, not torture. Basically sensory deprivation. For punishment. That could be what it was. And
Solitary.
Yeah, solitary confinement.
Yeah, I think that they sealed them up probably and redid everything during that process. And the girl probably had something to do with somebody that was involved with the mayor and the police department at the time. Because what better way to cover it all up if you knew it was somebody locally? And most of these people are dead now, so it's hard to find that information. All you can do is find the names and find a little bit of a track record. I've been looking into this since we were out there a year and a half ago.
How old is
I've got
it,
a pile
Jill?
of stuff.
It dates like 19 something.
Yeah, it's in the early 1900s, 1918, I think.
For some reason, 1906 sticks with me.
It might be.
I thought it even went back to 1800s.
The building itself goes back earlier than the jail. It was it was something before the jail. I don't remember what it was. I'd have to dig into my records over
Built
here.
in 1876.
Wow. Yeah,
that's from Shelley's website.
I was gonna say, I know it's pretty early.
Yeah,
they
1800s.
Turned it into a jail for years, but before that, it was something else. I don't remember what it was, boarding home or something. But I mean, there's a story to be told there. It definitely, the family still doesn't know what happened. The police department supposedly doesn't know what happened. They have no idea why pieces of her clothing and other things were found down there. And reality is, when you're dealing with here in Ohio in the early days, it was mostly small towns, and those police chiefs and those mayors were in control of things. So if you had a son or a daughter, niece or a nephew, or somebody close to you, it was very easy to cover that stuff up. Nobody would ever find out.
Well, I try looking through newspapers.com. They got lots of stuff based on address, name, just town history. You can find a lot.
Well, there were links, and she sent me over there originally. I did some digging. There were links to somebody that was connected to it from the next county over that had friends, very good friends in that county. Turns out, what I found out, and I'm trying to get some interviews on that, is that those friends were related to some of the big people in town. So I'm guessing that something happened that night. Maybe they meant to scare the little girl. Maybe they were pissed off at the family. Whatever it was, something happened that night that made them decide to go too far. And then
maybe it was an accidental too far.
It could have been. And then it was excuse my term when I say this, but an oh shit moment. Let's call Daddy. Let's call Uncle Bob. Let's call whoever it is. Let's find out what we're going to do here. And then they said, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it.
A CYA.
Yeah. Which has happened a lot here in Ohio.
Oh, it happens. Actually, it happens everywhere.
It happens everywhere.
Look at Louisiana. That's the good old boy network down there, even for business, regular business.
Well, you got the same thing up here, Trenton, Missouri, where the young man with his girlfriend and young daughter, he takes off and says, I'll be back in 2 hours. Okay. Never came back. They started looking for him the next day. Nothing. A week later, right? 2 kids are walking to school, and there's a shortcut going through this little timber area to the high school, right? They walk every day. 1 week later, they look up. He's hanging in a tree. Now, if you've been hanging for a week, right? Some animals would be chewing on you. right?
You'd think.
Yep.
No. What the
Even
theory is,
birds would have been pecking on him at least.
yeah. And what theory is, whoever murdered him kept him in a freezer until the day before they hung him up there.
You should be able to see signs of that too.
Yeah,
If
but
they're
the Trenton Police Department is covering it all up because the suspects are big druggies, and the Trenton Police Department, you go up there and ask questions, the Trenton Police Department will run you out of town.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gotten that bad. I've even been in contact with the family and stuff about going up investigating it and everything. They said, yeah, go ahead. Just beware. You get up there and start asking any questions about it, they will run you out of town. They'll escort you out of the town.
Oh, so kind of like Stall.
You know what amazes me sometimes that towns do that? I lived in a medium-sized town, Menominee, Wisconsin. I lived there for 4 years. I found an island in the center of the city, right? They say it's a burial ground for Civil War vets. They had a hospital there when we had the big breakout and so forth. And they say, well, that's the reason we keep it over there. But they don't talk about it at all.
Right.
So I started doing some digging into this because I thought, this is weird. And it gets even weirder because no matter where you go in the town, you can see this weird church, but you can never get to the church. That's because the church is on the peak of this island, and it's very strange looking. So I started digging even further, and I found out that not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but all 8 mysterious organizations from the Templar Knights all the way down to the Freemasons are in this town. And they're marked on key locations in the buildings. So I started digging even further because I'm like, this is really interesting. And I found that rituals were happening in specific areas every year under trees on each marking area between the islands. So 4 points around the island, there were rituals being done by specific people. And you could actually, and I actually caught them at one point doing it. And these are predominant people in this town. Once I found out all that and I started digging, I got a knock on the door from the deputy sheriff who put me in his car, drug me all the way up to the mayor's, and told me, okay, it's time for you to stop or you have to leave.
Okay, so you can't have an interest in what is going on in the town that you live in without it being questioned. But the thing is who were these groups, and how did you figure out what day you needed to be there to catch them?
I got lucky. I spent 6 months sitting there.
Oh, okay.
I went out every night because I heard it on a rumor, and I'm like, okay, I want to find out. Because these were in local parks, and you could camp out in the parks. You just weren't allowed in a specific area. So I camped out all the way over there, and I waited until late at night, and I snuck over in my little hoodie over top of me and hid in the corner behind bushes and just sat there eating chocolate bars and drinking Pepsi all night. And one day I saw a bunch of people in torches walking up and committing this ritual and burying something under the tree. So the next day I came back and I dug up the tree, and there was these weird little bones there, this little baggie that had stuff in it. So I started to do research, and I'm like, well, this looks a lot like an early ritual for marking areas. And then some pretty weird things happened. I won't get into detail with that, but some pretty weird things happened.
So that was one area. Did you find the other 3 areas that they were doing?
I found the other 3 trees, and I dug up 2 out of 3 of the trees. The other one, you could see where somebody had buried it. But at that point, I think that, because I wasn't the only one researching this at this point, I had 4 other people with me. I think they started to realize somebody is looking into this, and then just remove the evidence from the other tree.
So they wanted you to
You
stop.
started having weird things happen, or?
Oh, no, I started having some really weird things happen.
Yeah.
I lived in a small apartment at one point, and I had this strange-looking guy, couldn't have been much more than 23 years old, stand outside and just stare every night at a specific time for a little while. Just stare at the apartment.
Just to creep you out, huh?
Yeah, just to creep me out. I found a church close by one of the second markers, and there were literally thousands of crows on top of this church the moment I found it. The moment I found it and went to the tree, I turned back around, and thousands of black crows just all over the church, all over the area. We started to have some unusual occurrences paranormal wise in my apartment. I had things flying at my head for no reason. I had unusual markings showing up on the ceiling. And keep in mind, my kid was only 6 years old, and we don't have a ladder. So how did literal markings from markers end up all over my ceiling with
are you
unusual
sure you didn't
symbols?
have the guy from Demons in Seattle house at your house?
He actually did that himself.
I know, that's why I was kidding.
So I had some pretty crazy stuff happen. I wrote it off eventually and we moved out. But one of these days I'd like to go back there because it's known to be a haunted place anyway. They've got a haunted theater there that's been on Ghost Hunters a couple of times and a few other things. But
And this was in Wisconsin?
Menominee, Wisconsin, just down from the Devil's Punch Bowl.
Okay. Well, my cousin lives in she lives in Wisconsin. Not
Does she?
I forgot the name of the damn town all of a sudden.
Somewhere up there.
Huh?
Somewhere up there.
It's kind of in the middle.
Yeah, it's not too well. Yeah, it's kind
middle,
of in the middle.
in the middle part.
Kind of goes straight
Yeah, I
across
can't
from
remember the
South
name of it
Dakota.
Investigation-wise, Wisconsin is awesome. They have the Breeze to Briar Road is up there. There's a haunted theater that was in Menominee. Eau Claire, Wisconsin's got a couple of big haunted places that they don't even let people in. That I've managed to get in there. There's all kinds of neat little things and neat little hideouts in Wisconsin that have all kinds of haunted things going on.
They live in Little Chicago, Wisconsin. Is the actual town that they live in. Hopefully, it's better than Chicago.
That ain't no lie.
The only places I found that are rough is Milwaukee and Green Bay in Wisconsin. They're pretty tough towns. But.
Well, Green Bay's probably safe as long as you're a Green Bay Packer fan. If you're not, then you're probably in trouble. Everybody owns stock in the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay.
I thought Milwaukee sucked. I hated going there.
Yeah,
I hated Chicago more, but
it's a dringy town.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Never been to Wisconsin.
Delivered a lot of times up there. Got out there as quick as I could.
Pretty country
It's
area.
beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it's not like Chicago. That shooting up there in Chicago, that's all we're going to hear for the next week.
Will we?
On gun, yeah, we will on gun control.
Oh, yes, because gun control.
But the thing is I think some of it's going to go by the wayside because of the fact that it's not a conservative that did the shooting.
If they can figure out a way to work it to their advantage, they'll figure out a way to work it to their advantage.
Right.
They will.
This new regimen is absolutely ridiculous. Don't get me started on half of the bull crap and lies and twists that they're doing just to try to keep control. It's almost, excuse my term, but it's almost asinine.
You're open to say whatever you want on this show. It's not so normal.
I've been a part of the government on and off for almost 20 years now, and I got to tell you, I would not work for this regiment if they begged me to.
Apparently, nobody's wanting to go in the military to work for them either.
Mm-mm.
Well, why would you when they're telling you, don't worry about it. You don't have to shoot a gun today. Oh, that's okay. You feel bad? Go lay down. Everything will be fine.
That's funny. I was telling Ron.
And I've heard that from drill sergeants.
Yeah, you want to go to your safe space. But, yeah, I was telling Ron earlier, I said, even with this heart condition that I have, I said, at least I'm willing to go pick up a gun to honor my country, to do what I have to do. But yet you got these kids that are thinking about possibly going in the military going, nah, I can't. I can't.
It becomes amazing because they wedge their propaganda in so calmly now that people don't realize what's going on. Our 4th of July weekend, we had on the 3rd of July a Freedom and Pride ceremony. And, they didn't say anything about it. You want to know why? I'm in a small hick town. If we would have heard there was a Freedom and Pride ceremony, we would have kicked their asses out.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Like I was telling Carl before the show, the anniversary of my dad's murder was on the 3rd. And so I basically was busy as I could be. Actually, I slept. I kind of laid around all day, but I kept myself busy, my mind busy. And if somebody had told me that that's what they had turned the day my dad was murdered into, I probably would have slapped him.
Yeah.
And you know how many people think that the Paranormal Pride doesn't mean that it's my last name? It means it's something else.
You know, if they were to use that word pride properly, I'd have no problem with it. They say
Right.
that it's being proud of who you are and what you do, no matter what you do.
Right.
But you and I and everybody here knows that's a line of horse crap. That's not what they're promoting. They're
No.
promoting most segregation by saying, "Hey, look at me.
I'm
I'm
different.
abnormal. I'm different. I want you to pay attention to me because I'm abnormal and different, even though what I may be doing is wrong in the first place. You have to accept me." And then telling the rest of us that are normal human beings that believe in morals that we're wrong.
Right.
And I have a real problem with that. I usually don't speak out too much about it, but I am going to start speaking out about it because I'm a patriot. I did things for the United States government I can't tell anybody to save your asses. And I'm proud of that. I would never do that for this country right now. And that's a sad thing because I've been a patriot my whole life. My whole life. I would never join the government and say, let's go do this. I'm going to save people, because it's not about saving your country and being proud of your country anymore.
Nope.
It's about
No.
ridiculous crap.
And I used to tell people all the time, no one has more pride than me. Yeah, I may have married into this name, but I'm really proud of who I am and my family and this country, but not right at this moment in time.
No.
I mean, at this moment in time, I'm still proud of my family, my home, and everything else. Just not real proud of the way that we're being led.
Yeah, I'm proud of the foundations. I still believe in the foundations. I still believe the United States of America gets pointed out in the first place because we did what nobody else could. I mean, let's face it. The reason every country despises us so much is because we're not only the youngest country, we did what they couldn't.
We walked
Right.
away.
We walked away. We built a country where you not only can be proud of yourself, you can build on day one without the government saying no. You can build a business, become a millionaire, become a doctor, become a lawyer, become whatever you want. Or if you don't want to become anything at all, that's okay. We accept that too.
Well, apparently, we're supposed to.
And we're free to drive around where we feel like it without getting shot or told what to do. We're free to choose what we want to do in life. We're free to buy what we want. We're free to earn what we want. And nobody in any other country, contrary to what they want to say, can.
Exactly.
And that means that they hate us because they want that freedom
Mm-hmm.
that we created. Blunt but true fact. And guys in the UK, if you're watching, I love the UK. I love my fans in the UK. I love my friends in the UK. But let's face it, it's a different country. You have rules and regulations there that we don't have.
Mhm.
Exactly. And we show them on different shows that we've got on this network. We got Luke that lives in Wales over there. We've got Larson that lives in Sweden. We always go through laws and gun laws. The biggest thing when Luke joined us on the Bill of Rights Network from over at Wales, the biggest thing we all had a joke about was their TV license. They have to buy a license to watch live TV.
Yeah.
And they have the TV police
Yep.
that come to your house.
That's including YouTube. So if you happen to watch
Yeah.
the BBC on YouTube, they're going to get you.
Yeah, you can't watch BBC over there because BBC owns the rights to it. You had to have a TV license. They have made millions upon millions of dollars
See,
off of this TV license.
and in the United States, well, everybody would agree. You try to tell me that, I'd just tell you, piss off, and I'd knock the shit out of you when you tried to come and stop me.
Exactly. Exactly. I
Or we
mean,
just don't watch. I mean, that's what they don't get. We just won't watch.
Yeah,
If you're telling me I have,
Well-
like right now, Travel Plus or the Travel Discovery Plus.
Travel Channel, Discovery Plus.
I ain't paying for it.
Yeah, you know, sadly, I'm on it, and I won't pay for it.
Well, I mean, I know a lot of people. Well, I know people who are on there, and I told them, I said, I'd love to see your show, but you'll have to give me your password because I ain't doing it.
right.
Because I pay for Dish Network. That means that I paid for something.
Well, that's the thing. When you're already getting it for free, I mean, unless it's just shows that are aired only on stream and you want to pay for those, why would you want to pay for something that you just watched literally 4 years of for free and now they're telling you got to pay for it?
Yeah, like Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
We watched that for how many years? 18 years, 18 seasons for free, and now they want us to pay for it?
I
And I
do.
shouldn't say that because I'm going to get reamed. I shouldn't say much about it because I'm going to get reamed for
I know.
it. But
You're not allowed. You're not even allowed to agree. But
Yeah.
that's my opinion, and I hate to say I'm on there.
Well, they know my opinions on things. That's why they put me on this new show. They know I'm a very blunt, very honest person when it comes to things like that, especially when it comes to the paranormal. So, so I don't think they'll be mad for me saying that I don't pay for their service.
Maybe they'll give you the service for free now, as a thank you.
Maybe. I just don't see a use and I guess most of it is because I know the paranormal so well. I'm sure everybody here that are investigators would agree. We don't watch very many of these shows because we
No.
already know the paranormal. And if you watch the show, sometimes you're just wanting to go.
No,
Now, if I
actually,
want
it's
a
more this.
good laugh and go, why the hell did you do that? Then I'll watch one. Just for the pure fun of making comments while we're watching it. Okay,
Actually, we
we
probably
don't do
should do that
this. We
once.
don't do that. We
Right.
don't go running out. It's a demon. You know.
Yeah, it's
Mm-mm.
that
I never
word
went
is
running down the
so
steps
used.
when a bat came at me. Even landed on Ron. He didn't run.
I'm that guy that runs directly into it. If people are
Yeah, I
running
am
away,
too.
yeah, I mean you
What
just
about
dive
If they
straight
say
into
there's
it.
something in there, go see it. I'm
Yeah.
off. I'm going.
That's
Mhm.
why we're there, right? We're
Yeah.
here to try and find stuff.
To experience it.
Yeah, and I know people tell you don't
I
poke the
run.
beast, but I'm that guy that pokes the beast too. I just don't do it like some of your TV celebrities.
Hi, Pastor
Um,
Gary.
Hey, Gary.
But I like to poke the beast every now and then. You just got to know how to poke the beast because if you poke the beast the wrong way, sometimes the beast bites back, and you got to be ready
Right.
for it.
Are you allowed to tell us the name of the show yet?
No, but
Okay.
I will be here in another 2 months. They're going to start advertising it, so I'll be able to tell you about the show. I'll be able to tell you what my part is on it. It's not a major part. I'm not one of the big all-time, hey, look, I'm going to be there every episode guys. But I think you're going to like what I have to say because it's from all of your standpoints. It's from the reality of the paranormal, and that was my important end. Look, if I'm not going to be doing a show on my own with the people that I want to do it with, and I have very specific people that I pointed out, Lori Johnson being one, and a couple other people. That's look, if I'm going to do a show, I want to do a show with these 4 people.
Right.
Then it has to be me. And anybody that's ever paid attention to me knows that I'm very blunt. I call it down right off the bat. I don't deny that the paranormal is out there, but reality is the only reason it's paranormal is because it's unknown. So
Right.
people ream people like me, scientists, people that discovers, people that dig in, people that really read into the science and the theology and so forth and say, well, you're just a skeptic. You don't know what you're talking about. Reality is the reason we do that, guys, is because in order for you to get further and advance and not look like a joke in the paranormal, you have to find the answer.
Right.
Right.
And that means that there's only 2 things that come in, either theology, which means religion, God, and things that you can't explain in the first place comes in to explain it, or science comes in and says, okay, I got it. This is what it is. And you'd be surprised how much of it is real science.
Yeah.
It's just we haven't got there in the mainstream community yet. There's a few people. Jay Prather's finally starting to sink his head into it a little bit and realize that quantum levels are involved and so forth. It's just for so many years, TV gave the average person the reality of, hey, look, I can do this too. That average people haven't sunk in deep enough. You get to a certain level somewhere along the line where you've dug in so deep you realize this is all starting to make sense. And then you look at the people in mainstream that are only there for 4 or 5 or 6 years and go, yeah, they just haven't got there yet.
Yeah, Chris has got a really good point here. He says a lot of the issues teams are having is either everything is haunted or a ghost, or or every orb is a ghost or a demon, and they don't question everything, and they don't freaking do their research on nothing.
Chris
They
started
don't-
with one of my mentors, and thanks for watching, Chris. Chris started with one of my mentors, Ron Cross. Ron had been in the paranormal for almost 32 years, and that's one thing that he teaches everybody is question everything. Everything is a question.
I mean, actually, that's the Six Sigma way too. Question, basically, don't trust your data.
Yeah.
Basically, question it. And so that's kind of what one of the things that, well, I'm quoting stuff nobody even knows anything about unless they do data for a living. You know? So
But that's
my whole
all a
job.
part of the paranormal. Data is all a part of the paranormal. You have to collect that data and you have to analyze it and you have to match it. And the more data you have, the more you can connect things.
Right. And that's kind of that's what I do with a lot of the data. Yeah, I may be able to see this thing over here and tell you that this spirit's talking to me and all this other stuff. But no matter how much I see, I need data, something concrete to show you.
Well, that's the way I feel too. I mean, I need a scientific explanation for as much as I can find. Now, I know most people will tell you right off the bat, Chris, you're never going to find a scientific explanation for the paranormal. Guess what? I found a scientific explanation for 99.9% of what goes on.
Right. It's kind of like the example that I used. There was buzzing in the wall, and everybody goes, "There's a demon in that wall," and it's like, no, it's a beehive.
Yeah.
Or they're scratching in my ceiling. Well, Ron found where the squirrels were going through the
I sat there and
rafters.
watched them climb down the branch and go in their roof.
Yeah,
But they are convinced that wasn't it.
Yeah,
That's what we do a lot of, is
Okay.
debunking all noises and sounds and even shadows. Is there a light somewhere making a
car
shadow
drive
go
by.
across, a vehicle go by? If you can't figure something out like that and do all your debunking as possible, then you got to look into other things like what
You
Chris
guys
is
are going
talking
to
about.
love Joel and me if we ever start broadcasting on YouTube. Right now, we do it just because the science is the data, and the data helps you connect the science to the mystical, the paranormal, whatever you want to call it. It connects everything else. And we're going to go to extremes. I mean, we're going to literally do we're going beyond debunking. If somebody claims the site is haunted and something travels from left and right, we're going to use light spectrums all over the place, not just laser lights. We're going to be using a lot of light spectrums and see if it affects the situation. I want light spectrum. I want audio frequency spectrums. I want 16 computers set up so that I can monitor everything. And people say that's really, really boring. But in the old days when I first started off, I'd sit in the back. So everybody look and go, why are you looking at that screen? Because this one has every audio frequency broke down, so I can see if anything spikes when you guys are freaking out. This one has all of the levels of the sound of the sound and light frequencies. Everything I've got tagged in that room, guys, while you're out there investigating, tells me what you're seeing. If I can pick up what you're seeing, I know it's a ghost. If I can't, then there's got to be a scientific explanation.
And with Julie's question is the smoke detector hardwired? Because if it's hardwired and it doesn't have a battery, it's going to go off.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So you have to keep that in mind. So there are things out there, because almost all of ours are hardwired except for a few. And because when I started replacing them, I started replacing them with 10-year batteries, or 10-year replacement ones that have 10-year batteries. I just pick them up, throw them away. So we had to figure out a way to fix the ones that are hardwired, to where they weren't going off after I put this other one in. So you have to look at that. So it's a little bitty thing that hooks into the back of the smoke detector. If that's hooked in there and it's hardwired, then you have a whole different problem going on.
That's right.
You need to actually put a battery in it and let it be. Or you need to take that whole damn thing out and replace it with one that's not hardwired.
You'd be surprised how often those things spike EMF detectors too.
Oh, yeah.
Smoke detectors, CO2 detectors, all that crap can spike an EMF signal just like that.
Yeah. We also had one show. There was, every time I have on Steve Hayes, every time I have some kind of problem. We either have tornadoes, hail, smoke detectors going off at both my place and his place at the same time.
Yeah.
Guess what? Neither of us changed our batteries, and they were fine after the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quit beeping.
But during the whole show, you hear beep, beep on both sides, and usually it ended up becoming simultaneous at the same time. And it's like, okay, now why? And so I asked him the next day, I said, did you change the battery in your smoke detector? He goes, no. And I said, neither did I. I said, did yours stop? And he said, yes. I was like,
Here,
Weird.
Dave has a question here. Playing the guitar the other day, amp, I could hear several little voices. I didn't know moisture got in and was getting atmosphere bounce. After cleaned it away, kind of freaked me out a bit.
That's a good thing for him to bring up. A lot of people, being in a background of audio engineering, a lot of people don't understand that atmospheric bounce back and audio bounce back happens more than people think. And all it takes in some of these devices is a simple tweak or a simple thing like moisture getting into the right circuits, and you are going to pick up that atmospheric bounce back like this. Spirit boxes are the same way. You can tune into a dead signal and think, wow, I'm talking to somebody. But what you're really doing at the end of the day, if you catch it at the right time, and I just recently did this I wish I would have videotaped it, so we're gonna have to repeat it. About 6 months ago, I had a spirit box from a creator that I absolutely love, and I still love his spirit box. But I did find out what it was. I was talking to somebody during this period in time that was causing an atmospheric bounce back from a radio signal from 1941. Now, we eventually did the research and found the radio broadcaster's name because he mentions it at one point. The actual radio broadcast that was being broadcast, I've got the audio being sent to me, but it turns out I was picking up bits and pieces of this. Now, while you're picking up bits and pieces of this, it seems like you're carrying on a conversation with this preacher and the other person that he's interviewing, because she's answering questions later on and popping in every now and then because the signal's so broken up. It's went out into outer space. It's bounced back off of everything, and you're getting bits and pieces. So for a long time, it sounds like you're actually carrying on a conversation, but you're not. You're hearing the radio show from 1941.
Do you think a lot of people's getting the bounce back in their paranormal?
Yeah. I used to do it looks like our friend froze up.
Yeah, I was gonna say either
Hey,
that or
Rex.
go sleep.
Either that or he's praying.
No,
I used to do
Hey,
a
Rex.
little.
I'm still here.
Yeah,
Okay, well-
you're froze.
I'm frozen.
I ought to take a picture of that, Denise, and send it to him.
Yeah,
I
You
used
would
to do-
love this picture we got,
yeah,
Rex.
you asleep?
I don't think so.
That or he's mad about something.
Every time I come on, somebody freezes up for a moment in a silly nature. I think it was Joel last time.
Uh-huh. It was.
It was, and I probably still have that picture somewhere.
Yeah, I used to do a demonstration for college universities every year because people were curious on these spirit boxes and the bounce backs and so forth. And I'd use just a regular stereo, one of the old-fashioned ones. You can hand tune back and forth. You could just take the dial knob and turn it left and right, and a TV, and just move it back and forth. You'd be surprised how often you can carry on a conversation.
So, Rex, you may want to go out and come back.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're going to be left like that for hours on end.
I wonder what was going on with you there for a little while. It was breaking up, and we didn't hear anything from you.
So, I'm going to send you this picture.
Okay. I'm gonna go out and come back in.
So, yep.
There's
So-
April. Hey, April.
Howdy ho, April. So,
Is it snowing up there?
it's not up there yet. Ron's being sarcastic, of course. So, maybe I can find this darn picture that I just did. I did it with my computer. So, when you talk about being honest and stuff, and you talk about reality, paranormal reality. So, this is unscripted paranormal reality?
Yeah, what they're doing is unscripted, but the idea of the show is there's a team of people that are interviewed during the process. So it's more of a cross between what you're used to seeing in paranormal investigation and Ancient Aliens, with a panel of, I hate to use the term, they're probably going to, but a panel of experts that come in and talk about, okay, so this is what's really going on here. This is what you can run into when you're in here. This is what paranormal investigators really run into, and so forth. So they're taking a team of investigators and throwing them out into the field, and then they're using people like us to come back in and say, okay, here's what's really going on. So you're going to end up with a whole load of people that are different.
He froze again.
Well, what's funny is he's going to get that picture multiple times.
He's going to get a different picture here before long. Dave's going to take another one.
So, well, the thing is Chad sent it to me. I already had it.
Julie's yet another
Dee
one.
took it. So Julie says, here's one for you. Returning from a funeral, which was 500 miles away from her house. We ran out of fuel on the highway in the middle of the night. I told my ex that I didn't want us to be stuck because the road trains posed a danger. The car is getting slower, and the next service station was at least 40 minutes away. I jokingly said that Betty will get us there. The car took off, and we got there. And who is Betty? That's whose funeral we were attending.
Well, could have been possible that Betty actually did get you there.
It's very possible. I've heard a lot of stories like that.
Yeah, I've heard some similar to that.
I got to walk away for a minute.
What?
Especially right after funerals. Funerals, sometimes people tend to stick around, especially to the people that they love and that they care about. Christopher, it's not actually Generation Truth, but the concept did come from there, just so that you know. I sold the idealism to Discovery Channel about 9 months ago, and then they built off of it from there. So I'm not the biggest part. There's actually, I think, 12 people that are coming in. They want to cover every aspect, so not every show people are going to like, even though I can't talk a lot about it. Some of them, some paranormal investigators on some of these shows are just going to be shaking their head going, oh my God, not again. And then sometimes they're going to run into people like me that are like, yep, I agree with that one. Yep, I agree with that one. So there's going to be some positives and negatives to this new show coming out.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But I think everybody will like it. And I know they'll allow me to talk about it to this extent because I was one of the creators. I originally started an idealism called Generation Truth, where we were going to follow around the investigators and we were going to let them tell their stories. It became too complicated because of the dramatic natures of some of the investigation teams in mainstream. So, but I always liked the ideas, so I pitched it to them several times and said, hey, maybe you should do a show, but you should try to do a show from the standpoint to where people come in and they tell you about this stuff. They explain it. And eventually they just liked the idea. They said, that's a good idea, but we want to do this with it. I'm like, okay, well, pay me enough and you can do that.
Well, I know I can't wait to hear about it because if it's pay-per-view, I won't be seeing it, but I can't wait to hear about it. And maybe we can talk about it when you can talk about it directly.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'll come on multiple times to talk about it.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fine. April said last week, I said I felt a German history at the house.
I told you
Wisconsin.
that. Mm-hmm.
Then Obadiah came to me at that night last week saying he saw a Nazi who tickled his bed. He's 6, and he doesn't even know what a Nazi is. And I can guarantee he don't.
No. I mean, German soldier, yeah, that's very possible.
Especially,
I had
said Nazi, so he must have had the emblems and the SS and all that on him.
Well, I mean, the German army, basically had all that on them.
Mm-hmm.
But, were they, the way I look at it is they were military, but you can't assume that they were all the actual Nazi word.
Right.
That, because when I think of Nazi, I think of really bad person, bad military guy. But it could be that he was just following orders and was afraid for his own life too.
The SS were the worst of them, I
and
think.
if he was tickling Obadiah, then it wasn't a bad person.
No.
So maybe it was somebody who
mistaken for a German soldier.
Yeah, maybe, like I said, maybe it was just a German soldier from different time, but you
or
figure
a German soldier that got away and moved to Wisconsin.
Coulda. There were a lot of deserters.
A lot of Germans up in that area.
Right. Like I said, I don't feel.
Yeah, there is.
Like I said, April, I don't feel like there's anything bad at your house. If I felt that my family was in danger,
Just looking to move.
I would tell you. And
Oh,
Ron
yeah,
just
you
says you're
would.
just looking to move again. That you loved it so much that you want to move again.
Miss Snow.
You want to move north.
No, it
So-
gets colder
so-
up there.
So, Chris, what you may not know is April's my cousin. So,
Cool.
so that's why I said if I thought something was bad there, I would tell her in a heartbeat. So, but yep, and it could be somebody who was an American soldier that German descent, possibly, or was a spy for the United States. Who knows? We don't know the actual history of the people who owned your house. Or
Right.
built your house or owned that property before your house was there. Or even the guy who drove by your house recently just looking at it and going, wow, that's a nice house.
That's the weird thing about ghosts is a lot of originally everybody thought it's the property, it's the house, it's attached to an item. But I have learned in 30 years that sometimes there's no rhyme or reason. That ghost just shows up and says, hey, this is kind of a cool place to hang out for a minute.
That's kind of like one of the things that, a few years ago, and I don't know if I've told this story before, but Ron and I had an argument. My kids were still in school. Well, at least two or three of them were still in school. And my daughter, she sent me a text message and she says,
Dad's wrong again.
no, no, sent a text message saying there was a body found on at 311th Street. We live at 287th. And so the first answer I gave back to her, I said, it's not your dad. Because we've been arguing that morning. And so I said, it's not your dad. And she goes, no, Mom, it's a woman. And I said, okay. And later on, we started talking about it, me and Lauren, and we had the news on. And she goes, yeah, Mom, there was this woman that was downstairs. And she goes, I told her to come up and see you. And I said, did she have on a Papa John's shirt? And she said yes. And then suddenly the news came on showing this woman that had been killed up at 95th Street. And they had dropped her body at 311th Street. And they said she had on a Papa John's shirt. And it's like, okay. And Lauren goes, yeah, I told her to come see you, Mom.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. So needless to say, that spirit didn't belong here, but apparently we left the light on for her and she came right in. Apparently we're the Motel 6.
It happens. I've been in a couple of houses with them. I got to say, that's a beautiful cat. That's a large animal.
This is
She's a little thing.
She's our smallest cat.
She looks like a monster. Like Carl's in the other room. I just built him a boathouse, so he hangs out in his little boathouse. But my wife loves cats. I've got cats scattered all over my living room.
This is one of our camera cats.
Yeah. The funny thing is they only do this on Monday and Tuesday. When I was on the show on Sunday, not one of them came up.
They didn't even come in the room.
And I thought for sure that they would because Linda Carino has Ophelia, her cat. Her cat was on there, and I thought for sure that they would come and go, oh, we need to be on there too. Nope. Their timing is Monday from 7 to 9 and Tuesdays from 5 to 7.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
they join every show we have. Usually they're walking across the desk.
Oh, yeah. You'd know if Carl was in here because he's a talker. He'd walk right in the door and you'd be like, "Yep, that's a cat."
Yeah, we've got a talker here.
We had one earlier that I was on a conference call, and somebody goes, "What is that sound?" I said, "It's my cat. She's bitching." And they go, "What?" I go, "My cat is complaining at me for no good reason." I said, "Because I don't feed them." And they go, "You don't feed them?" I said, "No, I never feed them. He does." I get the other end. I mean, somebody has to feed it in one end and somebody has to clean it up from the other. And that's how we have it broken up. So, but, it is what it is. So, but Yeah, all of our Ashmore Estates friends are sending messages.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, 4 more sleeps. Yay!
Hmm?
Yeah,
I
Four
still
more.
have yet to get to Ashmore Estates. I need
How many
to.
we gonna have up there?
at least 12.
Okay.
I mean, if necessary, if we have, we have to have more than 4 in a room. Ron and I can sleep in a twin bed together. We've done it. Well, we've done it. We did it at the Sally house
You said
Yep.
anything about sleeping? I thought it was we had the place all night.
from 7 to 9.
You'll
7
have to
a.m. to 9 p.m.
let me know what you get up there. The crew, Joel,
Okay.
I, and everybody
Well,
wants to go up there
If
eventually.
we got
just
good
haven't got there
internet,
It's
yet.
a really
we got
active
good internet,
place.
we're gonna be live up there.
So
Yeah, it's very active.
here's one of the things that happens there is there is something there that's trying to keep me from there. And I'm going to tell you, that's one of the things that's really starting to irritate me because we went the first time and we only did a 2-hour day tour. Okay. It was me and Ron and some other people. I don't even remember who at this point. Dara and Caitlin, their mom,
Tim?
Bev. No, not the first
Oh,
time.
no, not the first time.
And Mike Ricksecker from Haunted Road Media and Shauna. So we had a bunch of us that I just said,
Yeah.
hey, we're going. You want to
Right,
go? And we went on a day tour. I'm down in the basement and I got scratched. I was in an area where they said it was the men's area. And it's like, okay, whatever. And
What's she talking about? Her house? April?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, you know
Don't
what?
investigate your house.
Yeah, don't
April,
investigate your own house.
if that's what you're talking about.
So, and if anybody does, if you do get somebody to investigate your house, April, make sure that they go in with the opportunity to clear it, whatever. I don't want you guys pissing something off and then you have to live there with the 7 boys and the dogs and the cats and all that. You don't need that kind of crap.
Try to keep the team neutral. Let
Yeah.
them go in there totally neutral with no idealism or aspect of thinking anything really. Just let them go in there with a blank slate.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't give them anything
I
about
wouldn't let
what
them
you're
in.
getting.
I wouldn't let anyone in because you don't have an issue.
Not, at least not a bad one.
No.
So,
yeah, if you don't have any bad things going on, why bother
No.
getting an
Yeah,
oh,
investigator?
you
you're
don't
going
bring
with
nothing.
Just live
someone.
with them.
Okay, April, that's fine. Go. But just protect yourself. That's all.
Oh, okay. At another place. That's
But where was I at?
You'd be surprised
No,
how many
I
of these
didn't know
things
that.
are friendly. Shoot, I live with at least 2 of them in this house, and they never pester me at all now that we've gotten our even ground. You can hear them walking around every now and then, or they'll move a thing or two, but that's about it.
Hey, I have
So-
anytime I have
Ashmore, I don't
7
know
to
what you're
17
trying to
go through
get
here.
it.
So at Ashmore, I got scratched the first time we went.
Yeah.
And so right after we were there, I got that lung nodule. I had to have that operated on. And long story short is I got a fever 2 weeks after we were there.
Huh.
And the doctor thinks that it might be something related either to the hotel we stayed in or Ashmore Estates. The hotel we stayed at had about 300% humidity.
Yeah.
I know I might be exaggerating a little, but it was horrible. It was like sleeping on a boat. So I could have gotten too much moisture and then went to someplace really dusty and grew something funny in my lungs. The thing is I don't have one nodule. I have a buttload of them, I'm told. But they biopsied the biggest one, clipped my lung, and I ended up with a collapsed lung. And we were supposed to go to Ashmore to see Dara and them, Rick Rose, Kat, a whole bunch of people. And we couldn't go because, well, I was in the hospital for 5 days. And so that was the second time we were supposed to go. The third time we went, it was after my lung had healed. And it smelled like sewer so bad in there that I couldn't breathe. And I had to wear a mask most of the time that I was in there. And so I couldn't breathe from that either. So I ended up sitting outside the bulk of the time. See, another cat.
Another kitty cat.
And so this time I was in the hospital on Tuesday trying to figure out what's wrong now. And I don't even know if I can go. I'm waiting to find out how my body reacts to this new medication. And can I let Ron drive me 6 hours away from our home to be 5.5 hours away from my doctor?
Yeah, it sounds like you got something that doesn't want you around there.
That's what it seems like. And the thing is I'm tougher than that. But again, you know, we were actually, that one time we were supposed to go, that my lung collapsed, I was actually all packed up, ready to go. We had everything ready. We were getting ready to leave.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't tell me I couldn't go. He waited for me to say, we can't go. Because I was afraid I was going to be in the hospital somewhere else. And I would have been. And we had somebody else going with us, and he would have more than likely been stuck there for 5 or 6 days with us.
You gotta flip a coin on things like that sometimes, because sometimes you think it's the evil that's telling you that, but sometimes that it's the opposite direction that's telling you to stay away for your own good.
Right.
I had
Right.
to balance that for years to try to figure it out, because it's tough. It's tough to figure out. Look, I know these things are going on, and something's leading me to this stuff, but is it the bad thing trying to tell me they don't want me around? Is it a good thing trying to tell me, hey, for your own good, just don't go there? It can be pretty crazy.
Know.
It's
Yeah, it's something else, you know. I've seen her go a lot of places, and some places the spirits come to her and tell her don't go. So
Well,
Well, I
we'll
get-
know. We'll know because she gets, every time we're going somewhere, whatever spirits are at the place we're going, they'll visit her like 2 or 3 days before. If we don't get any visits, then
I wish it was that simple for me.
yeah, it
I really
happens
do.
every time.
I wish it was that simple for me. And I've had a few times where things have came to me, the jail up here being one of them. The day before, I came in with no knowledge of the jail up here, the Paulding jail. I had no knowledge at all. I went to sleep, and then I woke up, and there was a little girl in my office, and she said, help them find me. So the first thing I did when I walked in, because I didn't know anything I don't know anything about any location I go to unless it's a location that's very famous.
right.
I walked in and asked her right off the bat, is there, there's something to do with a little girl here, isn't there? And she just unleashed right off the bat and said, yes, 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 this. How did you know that? And I said, because a little girl came to me last night and said, help them find me.
Well, I'll be back. I'll be back, guys. I got to go run over to get the kid.
Okay.
Oh,
So-
troublemaker.
Yep, my little troublemaker.
Right.
So, but I'll be
I-
back. I
I-
think you can talk without me. In fact, Rex might even be able to get in some words.
Right.
Yeah, he's been pretty
If
quiet
it
over
don't
there.
freeze, if he don't freeze up.
I hope not. It's all new equipment that I got put in here today. So
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
That's
I know.
always when it happens.
Hey, I
You know,
got something. I want to get you guys' opinion or what you think might have happened, or I don't know. And I was about 12 or 13. I got a brother that's a year and a half younger than me. We were downstairs. We're playing sock basketball, roll up socks and throw them in the
Mhm.
hoops. It was about the middle of November, and pretty cold out. And anyway, we're down there shooting hoops. Well, I'll tell you, the neighbor's dog, her name was Chipper. She was a mix of all kinds of different stuff, but she was one heck of a watchdog. She only barked if somebody was in their yard. Now, my neighbor had a great big shed, and he kept a lot of expensive tools in it. He made all kinds, woodworking and all that. Well, somebody had broke into that one night. Well, they let Chipper out. She found the guy. I mean, just ripped him up. Tore him all to pieces. Well, we heard her barking. Then we heard a guy screaming. Anyway, she's a watchdog. When you hear her bark, something's in their yard. We just always knew that. And even at night, if we were doing stuff out there at night and, threw a ball over in their yard, we'd always, I'd kind of kick the fence and say, hey, Chipper, kind of announce. She knew us, but we did have to let her know that we're coming in her yard. And she wouldn't bother us or nothing. She'd even come up and, we'd pet her. But anyway, we're down there playing sock basketball, and all of a sudden we heard her bark. Me and my brother looked at each other and went, "Uh-oh, somebody's in their yard." And then she let out a real big bark. And we're down in the basement, and we got these windowsills. And then we heard a fence. We heard the fence, and then Chipper going crazy. We climbed up on all our stuff and looked out in our backyard. We're like, "Oh, who's getting ready to get chewed up?" And we saw, like I said, when we heard it hit the fence, we were out there looking. And what we saw was somebody or something dressed like a pilgrim.
Huh.
I mean, they looked like a pilgrim with the hat and the whole thing. They like glided across our backyard in about 3 strides, got over to my other neighbor's, the fence on the other side, and just kind of like drifted up, like jumped over, like hurtled over it, but just kind of glided over it. They did this in about 3 strides. My backyard is 70 feet. I measured it because I pitched. We had 60 feet, 6 inches for a pitcher's mound, right? And we had to have room for somebody to catch. That's how I knew how long our backyard was. I don't know what the hell we saw. It wasn't somebody dressed like a pilgrim. There's no way they could have covered our backyard in 3 strides and then just glided over the fence. But they were dressed like a damn pilgrim, and me and my brother looked at each other and went, "What the hell was that?" Man, we hauled ass. My mom said, "You guys turn them lights out?" We're like, "Nope."
Sensitive to it.
I have no idea what that was.
I would have said it's probably a ghost. I hate to say that, but I would have said it's probably a ghost.
Especially dressed like that.
Yeah.
Now that when you lived where you lived at, that was down by St. Louis, right?
Yeah. But like I said, the big tip off was when Chipper barked, and her bark was a little different. Like she was actually afraid, but she was warning, the owners.
Well, dogs have senses.
Yeah, but when she barked again,
a lot better than ours.
Oh, crap. Like I said, we thought somebody was getting chewed up. It was like, somebody's in their yard.
I've got that video on YouTube, on Paranormal Nation YouTube there, when we lived in the apartment down there, and I got a black couch, and our little mini pit is sitting there, and Tammy's sitting on the other side, and I had the Connect hooked up. There's a stick figure in front of the couch petting the dog, running back.
Yeah.
Tammy stands up. I tell her stand up. When she stands up, Lexi would always move closer to her. Lexi just stayed there. Whatever spirit was there was petting. I mean, you could just see the hand going down the whole back.
Sometimes I think these things want to tell you a story, which is why they're there. They want to.
And in that apartment, our landlord's husband went in after he got done working, sat down in a lazy boy recliner, and had a heart attack and died. And he was known as a jokester. He would hide our knives and keys and bring them back in 3 days.
Rex is still quiet back here, down there in the corner. He's still just kind of.
He says, "Tell the one about on the rainy night." What's the one on the rainy night?
Rex acted like he had one.
What?
Question.
You had a story, didn't you?
Oh, which one do you want to hear?
One you can't explain. You don't know what it is.
Okay.
How long have you been investigating, Rex?
2 decades.
2 decades. That's a long time. Did you start off when you were a child, or did you start off when you were young?
Well, my first experience was when I was between 4 and 5, and it went on for years until we moved. It was make a long story short, I I had a room upstairs. It was very big, and in my closet, I had like 3 steps that went into the wall, which just freaked me out. I hated the closet because why would there be 3 stairs? There was obviously something behind it,
Yeah.
but my dad never opened it up or tried to find out what it was. And 2 spirits which came to me one night, and they were, I simply called them the bad ones because they told
Exactly.
me the most disgusting, horrible things to do. And I won't repeat what they said. I haven't to this day, and I'm 57 years old, and I won't say it. It's just horrible. They were like smoke. They were hovering. I could see the outlines of them, and just 2 white spots where their eyes were supposed to be. They were always telling me to come off the bed. Tell me to, one of the things was to, they wanted me to kill my baby sister.
Huh.
And this went on for about 3 or 4 months. And it was a particularly bad night. They came every single night. And I was over in the corner of my bed because it was against the wall. And I had gone to town with my mother that day, and I got in a bunch of new Hot Wheels, and I put them on my dresser. I'm a little OCD when it comes to keeping things where they're supposed to be and looking nice. And they were telling me horrible things, and I turned and was not even acknowledging they were there. Well, they got so upset, those Hot Wheels started shooting across the room. This was probably an 8 by 12 room, and all of them started shooting off the dresser, which is clear on the other side, and it's like they hit an invisible wall and fell to the floor. That's when there were 2 more spirits that were at the end of my bed, and I called them the good ones because I could hear the bad ones in my mind, in my head, and the good ones were the same way, and they told me that don't worry, we're here to protect you. We always will be. This went on for 4 years. When we moved away when I was 8 years old, they every single night it was a battle between them. And when we moved away, it stopped.
Hmm.
But about 5 years ago, I was sitting in my room reading, laying in bed, and all of a sudden this beautiful golden light is appearing behind my book. So I'm doing one of these, looking over, and the light is coming towards me, and 2 figures come out. And I knew who they were. I've actually got drawings that I did of them. And the good ones were dressed like in 1800 period. He had a bowler on, the starched collar with the tie. He had a pinstripe suit, a cane, a handlebar mustache. She had this big bustle on the back of her dress, beautiful royal blue, had her hair up in a bun. And I knew who they were because before, all I could see was the outline of them. So you're talking, 50 years of never seeing them. And I could see them as plain as I'm seeing you 3 right now. They were standing at the end of my bed, and each one of them reached down and physically touched each one of my legs, looked at me and said, "Don't worry, we will always be there for you." And then they
You
just
think they're relatives?
not that I'm aware of.
I
I mean,
mean,
I've researched it.
old relatives?
I don't know. I mean,
Hmm.
I have never seen any pictures. I'm in the family anywhere. And I mean, mom had, thousands of pictures, but nothing like that.
Yeah.
And it was such a beautiful, emotional time. I mean, it's 50 years and they're still there and still.
As crazy as it seems, and as and I usually don't take a religious tone to anything, but as crazy as it seems, a lot of times when you're dealing with actual angelic beings, they come in the back of your head on how you would envision them. Um, so I'd put a little bit of thought into how the handlebar mustache or the suit or something ties into your own life, because they come as you want to see them a lot of times, and once they do,
Right.
they stick with that image the whole time that you're with them. Whatever that image is, that's the way they will appear to you. And sometimes they do. They'll just show up and say, "Hey, look, it's okay."
And I remember that feeling every night when they were there, and it was there again when they were there, and I know I wasn't asleep because I was pinching myself. I slapped myself in the head because I was like, it was still light outside. It was summer, so it was about 6:30 at night, and this light took over the light that was coming through the window.
It's always good to hear stories like that, being a survivor from a child of a paranormal experience myself, because it makes you feel like you're not alone. That's why I always ask those questions. Even when I had my show, I'd open up with asking those questions. Because, see, you had an experience that's similar to mine and not at the same time. I mean, I got tortured literally for years from a dark, I can't even explain it. The easiest way, and I don't like to jump to that word, the easiest way to explain it is it was pure evil. There's no way to explain what that thing was. And it would torment me. It would try to get me angry. It would say things that just are very disgustingly awful to think about. Yeah, it would try to push you to go kill your mom, go kill your dad, go kill yourself. Um, it was a terrible, awful experience, and it actually attacked me. So it's always good to hear that you're not alone, and there are other people out there that have been through it as well. Have a good night, Chris.
See you, Chris. Yeah, and I've had many, many
What
experiences.
experiences have you had when you was a deputy sheriff?
Oh, those should be fun.
Are you talking paranormal? Just some of the shit that I dealt with.
The paranormal.
Okay.
I've already heard some of the other crazy stuff.
Yeah, there's always. Man.
Yeah, actually, I had a couple times, and one of them was we had to come into the courthouse and check it. When you
Mhm.
had a chance, if you'd come back to center for anything, one of us would always go over there and we'd go through the building. Well, I was up there and I don't turn on any lights because I've walked through the place, thousands of times. And I was going over to get a drink of water, and there's big safes on the first walk-in safes, all on the first floor, where the
Mhm.
archives and all kinds of paperwork is kept. So I was getting a drink of water, and I heard one of the big safe doors move because they were horrible when you opened and shut them. They were never locked, and it wasn't the one next to me, so it had to be the one down. So I peeked out around the door, the first safe, and I called down, "Hey, you better show yourself if you're in this building. You better identify yourself now." So I drew my weapon because I was sure that somebody was in the building with me. So I called on the radio and asked if any of the other deputies were on duty or were in the building with me, and they said no. I said, "Well, I heard one of the safe doors creak, and they're loud, and I'm sure somebody's in here with me." So they said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, now I've got my weapon out and I'm announcing myself." And they said, "Have you gotten any response?" I said, "No." And they said, "Well, wait there." So two more deputies came down the same way I came and were behind me, and I'm still standing there because I know it's stupid to go in to a situation by yourself. There's no way I was going to enter that safe, not without having somebody with me. And the door, we watched it, the door actually move again. And I said, we all three announced ourselves saying that we have drawn our weapons. You don't show yourself. We're coming in and we may shoot you. We may fire. You need to show yourself now. Well, the door actually went towards like it was going to close. And so, right like that, we were down there and we're all checking each other and pieing the room and come around. And two of us, because the door was about this far open, you could just see into the room because the lights from outside were coming through the window. So it was pretty well lit up in the safes themselves. So one of my deputies pulled open, and us other two, one on each side, we're pieing the room and checking it out, and we're demanding. So I reached in and flip all the lights on. And just at that moment, I seen something go from left to right at the back of the safe. And I said, there's someone here. There's someone here. The other deputy had seen the same thing. So he goes down one side. I'm going down the other because there's no place this person could go except towards us. Mm-hmm. There's no way out. So we're coming down there, still announcing ourselves because we seen somebody go from right to left. Got down there, we get around, and we're both down pointing at the ground because that's the only place the person could have hit. There was nothing there. Absolutely nothing. Three of us watched that door move, and it's not like you can just touch it and that thing's going to move. You've got to put some effort into opening and closing it because these doors were probably at least 4 foot thick.
Yeah.
And it's not just like you can touch them and they'll rock one way or they'll come back open. So that was one of the things. And I had two other deputies confirm what had happened.
I got to ask because because you were in the police force so long, and I always ask this of everybody that's ever been a cop. Have you ever had any situations where you dealt with somebody that claimed a UFO or a cryptid sighting?
Yes.
So those are always the cool ones. So you got to tell me one of those stories.
Yeah.
I was out patrolling at night with a good buddy of mine. We decided to pair up and go out, and we were going to take the back roads, all the country roads, because we found some pretty funny crap over the years out there on the country roads. And we come up upon this car, and they're just sitting there. And we come up behind them. We're shining our light, and there's this individual is just sitting in his car. And so we both get out. We call the plate in. We're getting out. And Steve's going down one side of the car, and I'm going down the other side of the car. The driver's side, he's going the passenger side. And we've got our flashlights out and our weapons out because we acknowledged ourselves, put your hands out the window, roll your window down, let us know that you're okay, and nothing. The person's not moving. So we get down there, and he's sitting in there, and he's holding the steering wheel, and he's just petrified, and he's just staring straight ahead. And I'm going, hey, roll down your window. And Steve's looking, and Steve looks over the car and says, nobody else is in there with him. So I tap my flashlight on the window, and the guy just about went ballistic. He turns and he looks, and he goes, oh, my God, thank God you're here. And I said, well, roll down the window. And he rolls down his window, and he goes, did you see it? I said, see what? And he goes, there was a light that actually made my car stall, and then I seen two figures standing in the front of my car. And I said, what do you mean? A ship? I said, was it a helicopter? Was it a plane? He goes, no. I just heard this like humming sound, and the light enveloped my car. And I couldn't move. So, and then all of a sudden, these two figures are at the front of my car, and started coming around like you guys did, but from the front of the car. And they're looking at my window, and he described both of them as being a gray. And they were looking in the window at me, and he goes, I didn't know what to do. I was petrified. And they heard you guys coming up from the grove down below. We wouldn't have been able to see it until we had gotten up to where he was at, if there was anything there. And we were coming up that grove. There was a bunch of trees, because once you got to the top, you would have to turn to where this guy was. There was no way we could see if there was anything there. And he said, I don't know. You guys must have scared him or something. They both went back into the light, and he said the thing was gone, just like that. And so Steve and I just kind of looked at each other for a moment. I had no reason not to believe this man at all, because I knew who he was, and Steve knew who he was too. And guy had never been in trouble, never been arrested. I wasn't good friends with him, but I knew him, and there's no reason for him to make up that story, because nothing was wrong.
Right.
We weren't coming there to arrest him or anything like that. It was simply to check on him. And I see him every once in a while still, and he goes, do you remember that night? And I said, yeah, I do. And I said, I really wish I would have been there and seen what you seen, because we believed him, but we had no reason not to believe him.
How'd you write a report up on it since you called it in?
Just we called it in, and come back, and I didn't have to write a report. I just simply told him that the vehicle had been stalled. He was 1046, which means it was a stalled vehicle. And I told him when we got up there and he finally come back, I said, go ahead and try to start your car now. And it started right up. And we just went, we're
So there really wasn't any other way to explain it except for code it off and on to the next one.
I mean, if he had been injured or something like that, or catatonic, of course I would have had to write up a report. But there was no malintent or anything. There was no laws broken, so there was no reason for me to write a report. So yeah, that's.
Did you ever have to write a report of a person seeing a UFO?
Yeah.
Or a cryptic? Oh, you did?
Yeah, there was. Well, 31 years I did this. I'm trying to think if it was still with I was Lynn County or Buchanan. It was Buchanan. We'd had calls for about a month saying, hey, we're seeing lights up in the west the same night every night. So we get, I don't know, 25, 30 different callers. So one night we got a call and went down to an individual's house, because they were just absolutely, the kids were screaming in the background. And so we're running hot, lights and sirens all the way there. And we get there and we get in, we announce ourselves and tell them, hey, it's us. They thought the flashing lights were still from the object that came and landed in the yard. And
Gary, you can.
So I asked them to open up the door. The other deputies went to there were still two other entrances that they went to. Because from the screaming and everything, they said an intruder was in the house. And when asked, they said, I don't know. I can't describe it to you. And the exact words were, it looks like an alien. Huh. And there's more than one in the house. So we get in the house and he goes, the ship left, but I don't know if whatever they are, he's kept saying aliens are still in the house, because the kids were petrified. So we went through the entire house. Everybody in the house had the same story, from the 4-year-old up to the 15-year-old. The grandmother and grandfather were there, the mom and the dad all experienced the same thing. And they said they never even opened the door. They just materialized and were there. And first they were doing, he said it was like they couldn't move. They were just like frozen. And they would walk around them and look at them. And again, when we got down to the details, spent almost 6 hours at this place. He's described it as being grays, but very tall, not short. He said they stood above us at least 2 foot. I said, taller than me? They said, oh yeah, because I'm 6'7". And we set everybody down and talked to them separately, not as a group. We interviewed everybody, got the same thing, had everybody draw what they saw, and we couldn't find any physical evidence of anything being there. Again, this was an affluent family, very respected in the county, and us 3 deputies had no reason, again, not to believe them. And these people were petrified and didn't want us to leave. They wanted us to stay. Like I said, we were there 6 hours. It was
Wow.
probably 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning before we finally finished everything up. We photographed everything outside and inside. And we finally told them we have to go. And of course, the children were going, no, we don't want you to go. And we were talking to them and just telling them, unfortunately, we have to go. We will check on you. And so every night, I would go and check on the family, and I would stop and see them.
So this happened about what, 3 in the morning?
It was about 3 in the morning. I had been thrown as senior officer, and I got thrown on 3rd shift, but it happens. I had to cover. And so I had to cover it for about a month and a half. And I would go to that house every single night the whole time I was on 3rd shift. And I would check on them. I would stay. I would tell them, I'm 10-2. I'm going to stay here for a while and check things out, make sure everything's okay, which was fine.
Was there anything specific about the town itself? I mean, were you close to a military base? Was there anything unusual about the town, or was it just a normal town?
It's Independence. It's just a normal town. I mean, there's no air bases or anything military around there at all.
Close to any mountains, any waterfronts, large waterfronts, nothing?
No mountains in Iowa.
So there's no key reason for anything to have technically flown over there or any type of aliens to be there in the first place. There's really no key resources in the area, so to speak.
No.
That's interesting.
And like I said, we separated everybody, and even Grandpa and Grandma told the exact same thing. They were froze. They knew they were there, but they couldn't. The only thing they could do was, move their eyes, but they couldn't move their limbs.
How did the department feel about that? When you you and the other officers, was it one of those things like let's just not talk about it?
Basically, yeah, we did. And some of it was out of respect for the family,
right?
Because of who they are. They're still here. The kids are all grown up and everything, most of them. And we just, basically it was an X-file,
Yeah, one of those things you can't explain, so you just got to put it in a corner and see what happens. Did the chief or the head of the department ever report it outside of the county or city itself?
No.
Or did they just
the sheriff? Yeah, the sheriff left it. he didn't want, and I understand if it would have gotten out and we would have released it to the press,
Oh yeah, I could have.
they would have been hounded. They wouldn't have even had a
Yeah.
life anymore. And
Let
especially
alone
those
if you reported it
kids.
to a government agency, because if somebody gets a hold of it and they think there's something there, then that's a whole other ballgame.
Yep.
Right.
So it was kept and put away. Not many people knew about it. They just knew that we were on a disturbance call, and we left
For
it at
6
that.
hours.
Yeah,
Well,
It
it's
was-
like that guest we had on last week, the ghost photographer.
yeah.
After the show, right after the show, he took a picture out his window. Now, Chris, how many pictures have you seen of ghosts with aliens?
Not very many.
Oh, that's a
I
good
investigated
picture.
This
case one
picture,
time that
You
claimed
have
it.
the picture, Carl?
yeah, I got the picture.
Let's say
You
you
want
got
me
to
to
put it
bring it
up
up?
real quick.
Okay, I will. This one here,
It's still
I
on
mean-
my phone. So
Yeah, I was say Rex is here when
oh, I got it right here. This was taken outside his window.
Huh.
yeah, zoom in on it if you can a little bit.
Okay, let me zoom
Or-
in.
That looks like there's almost a whole family there, and then the
Right.
little alien thing at the bottom.
Yeah. Well, you'll see more once he gets close.
Yeah, I can't zoom in on it, but
Okay.
yeah,
you'll see
you
a
look
lot
at
more.
that picture there. I see at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 aliens, maybe
Yeah.
7.
Some
Along
of them I can't
spirit.
honestly say look like aliens. There's one that does, but it does look like there's a whole family there. You look like you almost got a mother, a father, a daughter,
Yep.
somebody by the mother, somebody below that, whatever that is, and then
Yeah.
you've got what looks to be almost a little alien head in between that, right by the daughter.
Yeah, but he took it. He's known for taking photographs. He gets more photographs of ghosts than anybody with phones and cameras, and he's got $high cameras. But this was taken. He sent it to Denise right after our show. We had him on. He turned around to his window and snapped a picture. This
With his
was
cell phone.
outside.
it was with his cell phone, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
his,
I think that was, yeah.
the new iPhone.
Huh.
But that's something else.
Again, I wish I could be that lucky. 30 years of doing this, and outside of, there are some things that happen that people can't explain when they're around me. But outside of that, I've never gotten any real images. A couple of decent EVPs, a couple of Class A experiences, and then I've had some incidents where other investigators have said, "Yeah, I don't ever want to investigate with you again, Chris, because that freaked me out."
Had a
Now,
few of those.
Now, didn't he say that something told him to take that picture?
No,
Or
I
he
don't
just
think he
up-
said
Or he just
anything
up and
told
did it?
him. He said right after the show was
Yeah,
over
for
and he
some
clicked
reason.
out, he just turned around and snapped
Yeah.
a shot of the window and seen that and went, oh my God, because he sent it to Denise immediately right
Yeah,
after. that.
right after.
That's an amazing picture. I wish I could
That
explain it, but I
is-
can't.
Yeah, that's why I said I've never seen a picture with ghosts and what appears to be aliens, especially 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah, wait till if you got the picture and then you put it on your screen there and you can blow it up.
Oh, you
Man, it's
zoom it
really
up,
detailed.
man, you
It's-
can see them clear as day.
Yeah.
UFOs have always fascinated me. That's why I had to ask an officer, because most every officer I've ever spoke to has some sort of experience like what he just said. They just don't openly talk about it a lot of times. And
No, they don't. Well, perfect example down in Caldwell County, the next county down, and everything, where our cemetery's at, right? Cox Cemetery. My great grandfather started this cemetery. So we go to the sheriff's office anytime we go out there to investigate, to let them know we're out there in case somebody drives through and sees a bunch of people in the cemetery, right?
Right.
They go, that's fine. You can go out there and investigate. Don't let nothing happen because we're not coming out there. And I said, why? And they say, what we've seen out there, we're not coming out there. They have seen soldiers on horseback. They've seen wagons pulled by horses and everything. So they said we'll only come out there during the daylight hours. So we got that
It doesn't
going on.
surprise me. We had a sheriff up here at a town up here because Ohio's big on Bigfoot. Now, there are some old retired sheriffs that 100% believe that Bigfoot is real, even when we had our little experience. And I can't tell you that our experience was Bigfoot or not because I was 6 years old. We heard something that was an atrocious growl after my mom had started a fire too close to the woods next to us to burn off trash, and then it smacked itself up against our chimney in the side of our brick house and literally left dents in the brick, and then grabbed all the wood logs that were at least 15 pounds. When you cut logs, they're big, and they weren't split, and threw them out into the field about a half a mile out. We could see the logs flying. So she called the sheriff. Sheriff went out and looked, and old Jake went out there, and you could see the trail where something had beat it down and so forth, and shook his head right off the bat and said, "It's another Bigfoot sighting."
Well, that's like when I was little. We lived down there at Caldwell County where the detention center's at now and everything. We'd be out in the summertime late in the evening and you'd hear screams. And Dad would always joke around because we had an old nursing home uptown with supposedly the crazy ones in it, right? And stuff. He said, "Oh, one of them got out and screaming and yelling." Later on, come find out, no, it was the mountain lions down there. And it took me until I was,
those things
18, 19 years
crazy when
old
they
to see
scream,
one of the
too.
mountain lions.
And when they scream and you hear them,
It sounds like a little old lady
Yeah.
screaming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy, and everything. And then Dad would joke around and say, "No, they had a circus go through and they had them on there and they wrecked down by the bridge and a bunch of them got loose." And later on in life, I told Dad, I said, "You was full of shit telling me all them stories." I said, I hunt back there all the time. So if there was any monkeys or mountain lions or any of that, I would have seen them. No, it
I'm
took 20 years, and I'm out deer hunting. I come out of my stand, get in the car, and drive up the road, and there's a blonde one standing right in the middle of the road. I get up top, it's 50 yards away, stopped looking at me, and I pulled the rifle out and went, "Oh, I'd get in so much trouble."
Oh,
They're scary little beasts, though. We had
oh yeah.
a mountain lion get loose here in Ohio, and it's rare here in Ohio to see any cougars or mountain lions. Every now and then you'll see a bobcat, but we had one running around out here for years, and I used to park by a little lake when I was a kid. I'll never forget that. 17 years old, and that damn thing walking all the way around my car. And the only thing you can do is just sit there and kind of piss yourself because you're not going to get out of your car.
No.
You're scared to death because you're not used to seeing that. So you don't think I'll start the car and take off. You're just kind of going, "Holy crap."
Right. Well, we're getting time to shut the show down. So, Chris, tell everybody where they can find you or contact you.
In about another 4 weeks, we've got a podcast coming out. It's 4 to 6 weeks, give or take. I've got to wrap up a couple of things called Total Bullshit. It will be on YouTube. It'll also be on every other avenue. I do encourage you guys to watch it. It's not just about the paranormal. It's got a lot of education, a lot of humor, a lot of things that people have always wanted to say but never did. A couple of humorous skits that are going to be coming out. So it's something totally unique. So keep an eye out for that. You'll start seeing advertising on my page, which is Christopher Houston. The radio show Paranormal Truth and Reality will be up and running by the end of this year on AM stations in Ohio. So listen to that. I'm going to be working out, hopefully, with the people that run this network somewhere along the line, working with them on a show because I want to do that. And in 2023, you will see me in 6 episodes on the Discovery Channel and 2 episodes on haunted hotels and the Travel Channel. So I encourage you to watch both of those. I'm not the major star in any of them, but you will get to see me in them, so that's kind of cool. And pay attention to NICAM products. NICAM is a wonderful night vision camera. It's very, very portable. It's the same quality as GoPro, only it'll give you 100% night vision and several other types of vision that you can actually hunt with ghosts on from full spectrum in different colors. So keep an eye out for that and Mr. Joel Myers because we're bringing out some new cameras here in a little while.
Good.
Outside of that, I'll toss it over to Rex so people can find out where to find him.
Yeah, Rex.
I got a quick question though, Chris. How do
Yeah.
you know me?
Through Facebook mostly. I think I've seen you chat in a couple of groups from time to time, things like that.
He's
We
got
may
a
have ran
show on
across
here,
each other in a
too.
couple of conventions. I've been all over the place in the United States in conventions.
Oh, let's see. You can find me here on the Bill of Rights Network. My son and I have a show called Music, Movies, and Maybe More. We're live on Saturday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. You can find me on Facebook under my personal Unexplainable Art or All Out Paranormal. And we also have a page for music, movies, and maybe more. That's where you can find me.
Cool. And you can go to the Bill of Rights Network and find all our shows on Facebook. It's pinned at the very top. Check out Things Network and also the Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment, where we're always live on with this show. We're in several locations. And Denise just messaged me Monday night on the Paranormal Pride. She'll have Clarissa as the guest on there.
Oh, nice.
So make sure you check that out Monday night at 7 p.m. So,
Sweet.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
Susan's still on there, I'll have Denise in that picture.
yes, have
For
Denise
Facebook.
send it to her
Yeah.
and stuff. So,
I'd love to get you all on Paranormal Truth and Reality when we get back on the AM waves too.
Right.
It'd be fun to talk about some of your experiences.
Yeah. And Chris, stay in the green room. Stay on here for a little bit. I'll talk to you about Bill of Rights Network and everything because I own
Cool.
it. So,
Awesome.
okay. I want to thank all the people in the chat room for joining us tonight and everything. And we'll be back next Tuesday night for Paranormal Nation Radio. Not so normal. Everybody have a good evening.